Salve, salve minha tropa, minha família, minha tribo. Sei lá porque que eu falei isso. Mas eu tô aqui pra mais um vídeo, rapaziada. 3 vídeos por dia, hein? Pelo amor de Deus. Cara, cê é louco. 3 vídeos por dia, hein? 3 vídeos por dia. Nossa, meu Deus do céu. Cara, eu sou o máximo mesmo. Enfim, rapaziada. Bora assistir My Avengers Doomsday Theory, do canal do nosso mano Prinze. Bora lá assistir, tá? Nunca reagimos a nenhum vídeo do canal dele. Primeira vez é agora.
Avengers Doomsday is going to be coming out in December 2026, and Avengers Secret...
Eita, calma aí.
Avengers Doomsday is going to be coming out in December 2026, and Avengers Secret Wars is going to be coming out in December 2027. Now, before those two movies comes out, we're going to be getting Fantastic Four First Steps and Spider-Man Brand New Day because of the current delays that we have right now. So this video is going to be about my predictions that I'm going to have for the Fantastic Four, how Doctor Doom is involved, Spider-Man Brand New Day, whether it's going to be grounded or multiversal or not, how that's going to...
Ah, então não é só sobre Avengers Doomsday, hein? Também envolve o filme do Homem-Aranha e do Quarteto Fantástico.
tie into Avengers Doomsday because that's the movie right before it, and ultimately my prediction of how Avengers Doomsday is going to go. And obviously there's a comic book run of Avengers Secret Wars. It's supposed to be what it's based off of. There's just so many different characters involved. I have no idea what the MC is going to do, how they're going to handle it. There's so many different avenues they could choose from, but there's really no storyline for Avengers Doomsday, so that's why I'm going to give a bold prediction there. And very quickly, I wanted to thank everybody that showed love to the last video. That is my most viewed long form content video, and I think I only have 4 or 5 posted, and I got a lot of love and amazing feedback from you guys, so I'm very, very appreciative. If you're new here, if you want to stick around, please subscribe. If you want more short form content, go to my TikTok and Instagram. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So with the first movie coming out in July of this year, it's going to be my most anticipated movie coming out in July with Jurassic World and Superman. I am very, very excited for the Fantastic Four. Now, this movie is going to be kind of confusing because the whole lore of the Fantastic Four is obviously between Reed and Doctor Doom. And that's why when RDJ, Robert Downey Jr., got casted...
Só que o vilão do filme, né, já tá confirmado que vai ser o Galactus e não o Doutor Destino. Não sei se quando ele gravou isso, esse vídeo aqui é de 3 semanas atrás. Não, já tinha o Galactus, acho, confirmado como vilão do filme.
As being Victor Von Doom, it makes it very, very confusing. Because he was literally the face of the MCU back then as being Iron Man. So how is this going to correlate and mix? Like, you have to have some type of build-up and backstory between those two characters. So in the trailer for Fantastic Four First Steps, it actually explains a lot about what's going to happen, right? And their universe is going to be placed in the 60s, where they're viewed as the only superhero team on Earth. They are loved, they are praised, everybody loves them. You have the firefighters saying thank you Fantastic Four, the children saying thank you Fantastic Four. They're the only superheroes on their planet. And they already basically skipped like their origin story about going into space, getting the powers, landing down, being completely different. They explained that in the trailer already. So in their universe, we are at a point in time where they are already established. And also in the trailer, you can see they're getting praised so much. It made me think, what did they do at that point in time for them to get praised as the best superhero group they have? Like, what villain did they face? What outcome did they face? Because they're not Spider-Man. They're not just stopping regular street crimes. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I think Doctor Doom is going to come into play. I think they've already beat Doctor Doom in their universe. And I do think majority of this movie is going to be based off Galactus and Silver Surfer. They're saying they're going to conquer their planet. They're going to destroy it.
Nossa, mas eu não vi isso em nenhum lugar. Eles já acabaram, já brigaram com o Doutor Destino nesse universo e já ganharam dele. Nossa, velho, essa daí é diferente, hein? Essa daí eu nunca ouvi mesmo.
Etc. And we see in the trailer, we see like a Earth exploding and the Fantastic Four's on a ship. There's a shot of Vanessa Kirby, Sue Storm. She's looking down at the universe that just got exploded and she's in disbelief. So I think they are going to lose, but they are going to escape, of course. Spoiler alert if you haven't watched Thunderbolts yet, but at the end in the post-credit scene, you see the Fantastic Four entering the MCU and...
Mas eu já falei, né? Essa nave aí não é do Quarteto Fantástico, pelo menos do filme de agora, não a nave que aparece nos trailers. Eles podem fazer uma nave nova, só que, pô, não é a nave que aparece nos trailers, são naves diferentes.
And that's when they get the notification saying that there's something coming from outer space. It's interdimensional, meaning from another universe. And that's how they're going to enter the MCU. Now, like I said, I think Doctor Doom is already captured and he already has a beef with Reed Richards. I don't think the background of their lore is going to be explained until Avengers Doomsday. I do think that Doctor Doom is going to also escape and go into the 616 universe. I think during this time when he's already captured and defeated, he's hearing the rumblings about Galactus and Silver Surfer and how the world is going to end. And people need to realize Doctor Doom is very, very smart. I compare him a lot to Iron Man. Very, very smart, and he knows how to make a lot of good tech and stuff. Like, I think that's what's going to happen for him as his base form in their universe. That's why they were able to defeat him. My only problem to my theory is Robert Downey Jr. being the casting. There would have to be another actor playing the original Victor Von...
Então, por isso que eu acho que o Doutor Destino não vai ser do universo do Quarteto Fantástico. Porque o Doutor Destino, ele não vai, tipo, estar presente no filme como Robert Downey Jr. Ué, Bernardo, mas e a cena pós-créditos que vazou? Vai ser o Doutor Destino do Robert Downey Jr., de fato. Mas não vai ser o Robert Downey Jr., porque é muito... O Robert Downey Jr., gente, é um ator muito caro pra uma cena só. Muito caro, ele é absurdamente caro pra uma cena só. Então, o que que é? Eles vão colocar outro ator e o Doutor Destino vai estar de máscara. Simples.
On Doom in their universe. He's the one that's going to be captured. He's the one that's going to be trying to break it out. He's the one that we're going.
Eu vou fazer jogo de câmera com o capuz, mas o rosto do Robert Downey Jr. não vai aparecer, apesar de provavelmente ser o Doutor Destino do Robert Downey Jr.
To see at the end of the post-credit scene in Fantastic Four First Steps. I think once we get to Avengers Doomsday, Victor Von Doom is going to kind of pull like a reverse Flash type of thing, and he's going to like steal Tony's identity. But I do think once Victor Von Doom gets to the 616 universe and he lands and he starts to plan how he wants to take down Reed Richards, I feel like that's when he goes into the mode of studying what's going on in this universe, knowing it's a different place in time, and maybe very similar to Reed, who has already known to be multiversal. I think that's when he's going to learn about the Avengers, who's a part of their group, learn their history, see how Iron Man was basically the face of their planet, face of their universe. I think if Victor Von Doom finds Tony Stark's body and somehow inherits that, I think that will be his main influence. I really do think that he'll watch Iron Man and see what he's done, what he preached about, and say like, this guy is something similar to me. This is somebody that I want to like replicate or be better than. And it was already reported that Robert Downey Jr. is going to be playing different versions of himself, different versions of Iron Man, different versions of Doctor Doom. There's going to...
Velho, eu quero muito que o Homem de Ferro Superior, cara, seja interpretado pelo Tom Cruise. Vini e mexe eu até coloco na thumb do canal, né, o Tom Cruise como Homem de Ferro Superior. Porque eu quero muito, nossa, cara, eu quero muito, muito, muito ver isso. Nossa. Quero muito, velho. Enfim.
To be a lot of multiversal stuff going on. But I do think that bottom line, Victor Von Doom is going to be taking Iron Man's identity. I don't think he's really going to be a variant. I think the conflict and hate with Victor Von Doom and Reed is really going to build up when Doom realizes that Reed was willing to just leave this planet and to not figure everything out, being the smartest person in their universe. Reed is going to have over 1 billion something bodies on his plate, like in his hands. So now maybe there's a time jump where if the Fantastic Four is in the MCU universe, they're getting to know everybody, they're lying to everybody about where they came from, and Victor Von Doom is going to do everything in his power to make sure that he is exposed and that he can defeat him. And I feel like that's where the hatred is going to come in. And I feel like Victor Von Doom is going to be like, I can run this world better than you. I would have been able to save the universe. You can't. I'm going to make sure that it doesn't happen again for this universe. I will protect everybody. And I think that's going to be his main purpose. There is a lot of plot holes in that, but I do think that's going to be my general theory of what I think is going to happen. Even when Robert Downey Jr. was on same, he was like, new mask, same task. And Iron Man's main task was to put armor around the world to make sure that it was protected. So that's what I think is going to happen in Fantastic Four, but we'll circle around that back when we get to Doomsday. Now on to Spider-Man Brand New Day. Now this is going to be a more simpler, shorter version because there's really not to talk about. Now that the delays got pushed back and Spider-Man is going to be before Avengers Doomsday, I think Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to be a very, very grounded movie. I think they're going to focus on how broke he is, how bad his life is, how much struggle he is in trying to live on his own, trying to find a job, not being in love anymore, missing his friends, everything. I think they're going to touch on every single aspect that he has. Everybody forgetting who Peter Parker is, he's solely going to be focusing on being Spider-Man while trying to build up his life again of being Peter Parker because he has nobody. He has no Aunt May, no Uncle Ben, he has no girlfriend. Like, it's going to be very, very tough for him. Now, I originally thought this was going to be a crime scene movie centered around what Kingpin is literally doing to New York right now because I really don't know how they messed that up. Everything that was happening in Daredevil Born Again, Fisk is literally taking over the whole entire city. And Vincent, who is the Kingpin actor, he also explained how he can't even be featured in any movies as well, which doesn't make any sense to me. Who's in charge of these contracts? My theory and what I would want for a Spider-Man movie is Spider-Man going up against Fisk, helping Daredevil out, making sure to not let the New York City just go down in flames with how he's running things, stopping crimes, being a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, like actually being a hero and seeing him struggle in life. And that's why I wish like Daredevil would actually make an appearance in it. But there is rumors about Mr. Negative being in there, which I'm not mad at that villain choice at all. I think that would be able to give Spider-Man more feats and give him a harder challenge than going up against Fisk. I can understand that. Now, towards the end of the movie though, that's where we're gonna get into something called Battle World, which immensely sets up Doomsday and Avengers Civil War. Of the movie though, that's where we're gonna get into something called Battle World, which immensely sets...
Caraca, ainda em Spider-Man Brand New Day vai ter muito batalha. Como é que é isso daí? Eu não entendi.
Not mad at that villain choice at all. I think that would be able to give Spider-Man more feats and give him a harder challenge than going up against Fisk. I can understand that. Now, towards the end of the movie though, that's where we're gonna get into something called Battle.
Caraca, eu achei que tipo ia deixar isso só pra Secret Wars, sabe? Não tem nem Doomsday. Mas beleza, né?
World, which immensely sets up Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. Now, so Battle World, depending on what series you're reading of Secret Wars, is basically when Doctor Doom steals the powers of Beyonder and he brings a bunch of different universes together and they collide. That's when you get the multiversal stuff. That's when you get different versions of Spider-Man, different versions of Wolverine, different versions of Hulk, whatever. I don't think Battle World is going to happen in Secret Wars. I think it's going to happen in Avengers Doomsday. And that's going to lead up to this topic
Ele acha que vai acontecer mais cedo. Sei não, hein?
I'm going to talk about now is my predictions of how I think Avengers Doomsday will go. So if you remember when we talked about Fantastic Four First Steps, I said that Doctor Doom is already going to be defeated. He's going to be captured already. He's going to overhear Reed saying that he's going to leave the planet and bring his family. And he's going to leave all these billions of people out here to die. They lost. I think Doctor Doom is going to escape. He's going to get to the MCU universe, follow them. I think it's going to be a time jump where Reed is actually in a comfortable spot and he's praised. The Fantastic Four is a very popular group now. And I think Reed is going to have that vengeance and envy to be better than him and to take him down, expose what he's done. I think Reed is going to lie to every single person in the MCU universe on why he's actually here and if he came from a different planet or not. You know, I think he's going to lie about everything that happened on his universe. I think Doctor Doom is going to try to expose him, and I think he's going to make an emphasis on how he can run a planet and protect the planet better than everybody else. So I think Avengers Doomsday is going to be a 3-hour movie, minimum. I think the first hour...
Mano, acho que eles vão deixar isso pra Secret Wars, velho. O que você acha que vai acontecer em Secret Wars desse jeito aí? Porque, pô, do jeito que você tá falando, o plot todo de Doomsday, de Secret Wars tá em Doomsday, daí Secret Wars vai ser o quê?
Hour and a half of this movie is going to be talking about Victor Von Doom and his background story. I think Pedro Pascal, Reed Richards, is going to be like the face of the end of the saga. I really do. I think he's going to have a huge role. I think they're going to record a lot of scenes that's going to be placed on their universe that got destroyed and basically explain the background between Victor Von Doom and Reed. How they were in college together, both super smart, explain how there's conflict between them and how they kind of envy each other in a way. And they're going to show how Victor Von Doom became Doctor Doom. And that's when I feel like we're going to fast forward and get back into present time and see Victor Von Doom, seeing what Iron Man has done for this universe, knowing that he's the anchor, and that's when he's going to kind of like take over his body maybe. And I do think during this time we're going to see a huge fight with Victor Von Doom being a base version of Doctor Doom with the Fantastic Four, etc. But there is going to be a lot explained how Doctor Doom gets more powerful in this universe. Maybe he becomes a Sorcerer Supreme. Maybe he fights Doctor Strange. He learns magic. He goes to different other areas and avenues to gain this power, knowledge, and ability. I think Beyonder will be a key role somehow, some way as well in this movie if he is casted. But I think that's going to be the first like hour and a half, hour long of this movie. It's going to basically explain like his lore, why he's there and where he comes from. I think that his Laverian country is going to be there as well, like on his soil. I think all of that will be explained. But now the third or the second final act of this movie, remember Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame was basically part 1 and part 2. They're both continuous. Avengers Doomsday and Secret War is going to be the exact same thing. I think the third act of this movie is when Battle World is going to happen. These worlds and stuff collide, and that's how we get the Fox Universe X-Men involved. And that's how we're going to see an Avengers versus X-Men fight where they kind of disagree on how to handle the situation. I do think they're going to come together towards the end after they have a very massive fight and they learn about Sentinels and they go to the mansion and they discover mutants and they talk about mutants and what they're doing with the X-Men and how they're involved. I think the Avengers are going to be a very big part of that. Now, if you know comics, Avengers and the X-Men, they're good now in the current canon run, but they had major history of conflict, Avengers not helping the X-Men out. And when they do try to go help the X-Men out, they're like, where are you before? So I think that'll be a major key role. The Avengers will be helping out the X-Men in this universe, and they're going to figure out, okay, how are we going to handle this Doctor Doom situation? It's a mess. I really do think that third act is going to be Spider-Man's POV of Avengers Doomsday, seeing all these worlds collide. I think they're going to cut to the X-Men's POV, seeing their world collide, them going out there and seeing like what is going on, them trying to fight Doctor Doom maybe, and then seeing Spider-Man get involved, and then that's when the Fantastic Four is going to get involved.
Cara, gostei dessa teoria, sabe por que colocou o traje preto do Homem-Aranha, velho? Cara, tem coisas que eu acho que tem que ter em Avengers Doomsday. Homem de Ser Superior, Capitão Hydra, Homem-Aranha com o traje escuro, sabe? Essas coisas aí eu acho que tem tudo ter, sabe? Tem que ter. E a Marvel não vai desperdiçar, eu acho.
And they're going to be fighting, and they're going to realize, like, they're going to be like, look, we know who this villain is. We all need to come together and talk. I think that is going to be such a crazy scene. But Beyonder is also just so important that I just don't see how this story is going to work without him. So I'm assuming that's going to be in a very important task later on, maybe. But I do think that Avengers Doomsday is going to be the most important story and maybe, like, quote unquote, the better movie.
Não vai ter Beyonder, não vai. Eu acho que não, pelo menos. Não vai. Ele vai substituir por alguém. Talvez o Bob Reynolds, Franklin Richards, o Loki, né? O Loki. Não sei, mas alguém vai ser substituído, não vai. Não vai ter Beyonder, não.
Movie, because Secret Wars is going to be a lot like Endgame. I think it's going to be a very, very crazy mess. And plus with the MCU, with how they change a lot of things and the story has to pretty much align with their universe, I think the ultimate goal is we're going to see a bunch of characters that we know and love. A lot of them are going to die. They're going to lose to Doctor Doom. I think he's going to be the max of his powers. I think he's going to be God Emperor Doom. I think we'll see like different variants of the other different villains like Thanos and maybe Kang. I think he's going to kill like majority of these X-Men. I think he's going to kill a lot of these Avengers members. I think only a few of them are going to actually stay since we're going going into a mutant saga, I think they're going to display his power level to be like truly insane. Doctor Doom's intellect and just like understanding of him feeling like he can do things better, like in the universe that he's placed in, that was his whole thing. He was like, it got to a point where he was like, look, we're in Latveria, like you guys don't even come here, you guys don't own like no part of this land, you guys aren't welcome here, and they leave him alone. Like he's that powerful. And even when they do have conflict, like they're very cordial. Like he had dinner with the X-Men before telling them to leave. In comic runs, in this current comic run with Storm, he's had dinner with him as well, and he's currently Sorcerer Supreme in this canon comic run as well. Like he is just extremely powerful, and I hope that's what they're going to touch on and what they're going to explain and what's going to be the vocal point of having Victor Von Doom in this universe. I really do. I hope they focus on it being about him and his story build up. I really don't think this is going to be an Avengers movie. You know what I'm saying? As much as you would think it's going to be, I really don't think it is at all. That's my predictions of how I think this is going to go. I am very excited for these next two movies. I'm very excited for Fantastic Four and Spider-Man Brand New Day as well. I think Fantastic Four is obviously going to have a major role in it. Much more than Spider-Man Brand New Day, but it's still very interesting to watch. I'm very excited. Let me know what your predictions are, what your thoughts on Doctor Doom, what your thoughts on Robert Downey Jr. being the cast for Victor Von Doom. Maybe me thinking it's going to be a different actor is me coping. I don't know, it's just my personal opinion. It doesn't make, this casting still doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but like I pushed it to the side because I'm very excited for Robert Downey Jr. to be back. He was the face of the MCU like during that whole entire run, you know? And I think he's deserved. He's a very good actor. But I'm very interested to know what you guys think. If you
Bom, é isso aí, rapaziada. Espero que vocês tenham gostado, né? Vocês já estão ligados. Dá like, se inscreve. Eu sei que é chato, mas eu peço do mesmo jeito, né? O vídeo que eu reagi. E o link do meu canal secundário. Estão todos na descrição. E... que mais, né? Ah, o YouTube tá recomendando um vídeo que você pode gostar. E o meu canal. Clica aqui nessa bola, que ela é legal. Valeu, falou e até a próxima. Tchau.